gross. Like,
Hey Mary, I have to have a Tom date with you.
what, Gabe?
Do you hate boys?
Yes.
Well, boy in Tomer, did he hit my friend out the door? So, he's 3-year-old. So, I need your help to, like, punch him.
Gabe, if I beat up a 3-year-old, I'm gonna go to jail. I'm here with my sister, and recently we were both pretty much forced to come out of the closet, right? So that experience is horrible, but I wanted to talk about, because we're both Gen Z, I think, right?
I don't know.
But I was born in 2000, but because we were poor, it's like I was still growing up with the millennial things, you know? I was just barely discovering the internet as I got older because we couldn't afford it when I was younger, when it like first came out, you know? I just want to see what the generational differences are. Firstly, coming out. How is your experience with that, and who are you out to?
I'm out to siblings, as in you and Isaac. I'm out to mom. Because she found out by looking at my Instagram bio and going through my phone. And I'm not sure if mom told dad, but I think she said something about telling dad.
And as you guys probably know, I'm out to fucking everybody but my family, but then my mom went through my shit. Then I also wanted to talk about when you knew.
Oh, when I knew?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was around like a few months before 5th grade continuation. I remember that I had a crush on my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also had a crush on my but then when I remember when I was in 4th or 3rd grade, I had a crush on this kid.
A guy?
Yeah. I am non-binary and pansexual.
And so how did you know about the whole gender thing?
I mean, like, I didn't exactly feel like a girl, but I knew that I wasn't transgender because I was still fairly comfortable in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I didn't exactly feel like a boy. I haven't received bullying specifically, but I do have this friend that I talked to. I came out to them like 3 or 4 months ago, and they know that I have a female body and like the female features and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, even though they know that I don't identify as a female, they continue to call me a female.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
are they Mexican? Okay. So finish your thought, and then I'm gonna expand on the whole Mexican thing.
I lost where I was.
Okay. So basically, now I'm just gonna answer the same questions. I knew, like, from the minute I was born, like, all growing up, I knew I liked girls, like, all growing up. And we had, like, white people, we've had LGBT role models, like, all growing up. I remember, like, Ellen was very prominent, and one of my first crushes was, like, the entire cast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh my god, Mary.
So, and then Willow had a girlfriend, Tara, and then she had another girlfriend after that, which, fuck the bitch. Like, she was fine or whatever. But why do they have to do Tara like that? Why did they just made up? But anyways.
Jesus.
So I basically knew, like, my entire life. I didn't struggle with it or anything. Like, yeah, I'm struggling coming out.
I find out about your gender.
I'll get to that. And the whole thing with, like, because I'm Mexican, and I've grown up in a very Mexican culture, like, with the machismo and everything, and the homophobia and the, like, racism, which racism is part of this, definitely. But, and so coming out to my peers, I came out in, like, 8th grade after I tried to kill myself. Suicide gang. But anyways, growing up, like, to trick everybody into thinking I was straight, I would find out who my friends liked, the boys that they liked, and I'd be like, oh yeah, me too. Like, oh my god, me too. Like, I remember, like, I used to do that all the time. Oh, one of my friends was like, oh, I like this boy, and I was like, oh my god, no way, me too. He's, like, so cute. he's like, and then he was like a bum, like, ugh. Like one of the guys my friends liked, was she even a friend? She probably never considered me a friend, but one of the guys my friends liked, like, bullied me mercilessly, like, completely bullied me, just, like, tormented me, like, not physically or anything, but just, like, mentally, just, like, whew. And I was like, and then she said, oh, I like that guy, and I was like, oh, me too, you know? Just because I didn't want to be like, oh, no, I don't like Aaron, I like Erica, you know? And I feel like a lot of the people that I knew were out were white. And that's, you know, I think a lot of, like, Mexican people I know be like, oh, you're gay? Like, that's that white people shit. That's that white people shit. No, it's not. Like, anybody can be gay. And, in fact, some of the pillars of the LGBTQ
LGBTQ+.
some of the pillar of the community were black people, and especially black trans women, black and indigenous, all these people. And like, I think that's part of it too, is colonialism, which basically white people, like, conquering all of the world, their culture was not very accepting of gay people and, like, people of any other gender, and so they brought that into our communities. And we're still affected by it to this day. So my sexuality was really easy. I think the harder part was the gender thing, because I'm non-binary, I guess. Like, I don't really know the label non-binary, gender fluid. That's, like, what I feel most comfortable with. That was really hard to accept, and I struggled with, like, the whole gender dysphoria thing all throughout middle school, and I was like, what is this? Because back then, I didn't really have access to, like, internet like that. I mean, I had, like, flip phones and, like, the computers at school and the library and stuff, but it's not, like...
It wasn't enough sometimes.
Well, there weren't, like, big, huge communities like there were now on the internet. And I remember, like, I was in the hospital, and they, like, have to ask you, like, what's your gender and sexuality? And then, so gender, I was like, they said male or female, and so I was like, female, you know, I was assigned female at birth. And then, for sexuality, they were like, what's your sexuality? And I was like, bisexual? Like, I don't know. And then I was like, wait, can my parents see this? Like, does anybody else have access to it? And they were like, no, like, don't worry. So, like I said, my childhood, segue, transition. Anyways, like I said, one of my first crushes was, like, the entire Buffy cast. Like, Buffy,
Willow.
Angel, Willow, Spike, Oz.
Spike?
Yes,
Ew.
Spike.
Spike is... Ugh.
Bro, it's an accent, mate. Just like Giles, mate. Just, oh, the accent. But, so growing up, of course, you had to have Zuko.
Yes!
And I introduced Sylvia to Avatar The Last Airbender because it did come out, like, when I was, like, 4 years old, maybe? Avatar The Last Airbender is one of the most beautiful things. And that's also where I got some representation when I was, like, 16-ish. Yeah, when Legend of Korra came out, and then they had Korra and Asami, which Korra and Asami were also my crushes. Not Bowen and Mako. Fuck those bitches. Fuck those bitches! And they had to fight. They had to fight to get Korra and Asami together. And they didn't even get to kiss at the end. And, like, nowadays you see these LGBTQ plus people in, like, Steven Universe, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven Universe and all these other, She-Ra. Like, all these other cartoons. And I think that it's really important that we recognize that just a few years ago, 2016 was not that long ago.
4 years.
Yeah, I think that's when it came out. I'm not sure. I watched it illegally, but they had to fight for that representation. They had to. And nowadays, like, you still have, like, homophobic people, but it's getting more accepted, I think. But one of my biggest crushes, like, ever, like, any day, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Fine as hell. He is, like, such a great dad. He voices Maui. My Love of the Rock also introduced me to Ali Carvalho, who I also have a crush on.
You also did take a liking of Tom Holland.
I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I just, like, I think the character Spider-Man is so attractive. Like, Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland as Spider-Man are so cute, but I don't like them in real life. Like, I just love Spider-Man. Like, I love Spider-Man so much.
That's your favorite superhero?
Yeah. I've said it so many times. I have pictures, like, multiple pictures with him. I love Spider-Man so much. And then, also another cartoon character I had a crush on growing up, which is really, like, defining my taste in women, Fiona. As an ogre form.
Oh.
I don't like them skinny bitches. No offense to skinny bitches. I think we'll talk more about, like, crushes and stuff in our desirability politics video.
I have come across some people on the internet and in real life that have been very offensive to some people. Someone DM'd me and started talking random crap about me being pansexual. They also said something about, like, they tried to say that they didn't have anything against them, they just didn't like me. Someone DM'd me saying, hey, can you help me? And I said, sure. Told me that something about, like, them being homophobic, and I told them, what do you have against the LGBT community? And they rambled on about how they don't have anything against us, but they clearly did, because they said something about how they were gay, but they hated the fact that they were gay.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to say that they were going to kill themselves because they were gay.
Mm-hmm. Which is a very real problem. I want to talk a little bit something about I experienced, stemming from your conversation. So there was this old site, Kotev, that I spent a lot of time on, like a lot of time. And I had people on there, and like 99% of Kotev is like fucking gay as shit. But there were still homophobic people on there, and so one time I posted, I don't even remember what I posted, but somebody in the comments sent me a link to a website that was basically telling me, God doesn't hate gay people, like, God loves you, but you're still going to hell because you're sinning. And I was like, what's the point? What's the point? You know? My old straight friend, she was always like, yeah, my little brother's such a lady killer, your little brother's such a lady killer, like, ooh, this and that, and straight and cis, like, heteronormativity and cis. I was just, like, so sick of it, because it's like, you're shoving your sexuality down their throats when they don't even understand what sexuality is. You're shoving straightness down their throats, and, like, cisness, and it's like, and they don't even realize it. But when gay people get a parade, it's like, what about straight pride? What about straight pride? But it's also like, in our own community, there's division, because I know a lot of people who don't think pansexuality exists.
A month or two into school, when I felt safe coming out to a few of my friends, I had this friend and this other friend, and I came out to them saying, hey, I'm pansexual, or something along those lines, and then they said, isn't that bisexual? Do you mean bisexual?
And just real quick, not to interrupt you or anything, but bisexuality is the attraction to two or more genders, and pansexuality is attraction regardless of gender. Me, I personally don't care what you call me, just don't fucking call me straight. Gay, queer, I mostly identify with the gay and queer, bisexual, pansexual, I don't care, I'm just not fucking straight. I hate straighties. There's a lot of straighties, they're like, oh, you guys get a parade, and you guys get flags, and you guys get celebrated, and like,
they have a flag. Stuff. They shouldn't be complaining. They have a flag when they
Well, the thing about that is, straight is, like, normal. It's considered normal. If I look at anybody, I assume they're straight. Like, Ali Karalia, I thought she was straight, but she came out as bisexual in my heart. But anyways. And then, like, they're not killed for being straight. Just for the simple fact of being straight. It's like, white people are not oppressed for being white. Like, sure, they can have class oppression, gay oppression, or whatever, but they're not oppressed for the simple fact that they're white. Just like straight people are not oppressed for the simple fact that they're straight. Like, there's black straights, there's white straights, you know, all the races. And the thing also about it is, like you said, people kill themselves for the simple fact of them being gay. And it's so common. Like, a little itty-bitty boy was bullied so much that, and I think it's happened multiple times, little boys bullied so much for the fact that they're gay. And a lot of people are like, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know you're straight at that age? How do you know? Like, that's the thing. I knew since I was, like, forever. Because I grew up watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It came out before I was even born. So I grew up watching that. And I had a crush on the entire cast. And I knew from the beginning. People say two things that I want to bring up. And one of the things is that the culture is making kids gay. So, like, all the, like, LGBT rap and, like, Buffy and, like, Ellen and all that stuff, oh, you're just making them gay. If it was a choice, I would not be attracted to men. I would not. Except join the Rock Johnson. And, like, gay people, our trauma is seen as funny, I think. Because, have you ever seen Brokeback Mountain?
No.
So, I grew up hearing just so many memes about Brokeback Mountain. Oh, it's so funny, the, like, beans and gay sex on the mountain and shit. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, I used to, like, laugh at them, but it wasn't until I seen it, I bought it at the thrift store when I was, like, 16, 17-ish, 18 maybe, and I watched it, and I was like, this is fucking sad, this is horrible, and if you don't know, I'm gonna spoil the ending to Brokeback Mountain for you, Sylvia.
Okay.
It's two guys, they go to a mountain to, like, work, and then they fall in love, have sex, and all that stuff, and then one of them gets, like, married and has a family and stuff, and I don't know if he's, like, gay or bisexual or whatever. But then they find out that they're gay, and, because they go back to having sex, like, many years after. And then, they basically beat one of the men to death. Like, beat them to death, literally. And, like, I remember thinking, like, why did people make fun of this? Like, when I was growing up. Like, this is literally so traumatic for me to watch. But that's also the other thing. I think different people in the community face different challenges. Like, I think we cannot ignore how race and sexuality interacts, and how race and gender react, you know, or interact, whatever. I don't know. There's no denying that people of color in our community have it harder. No denying. And it's because they have one oppression built on top of the next, so it's just like boom, 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 oppression, you know? We have people like Ellen DeGeneres. I loved Ellen growing up. I used to, like, skip school and just, like, watch Ellen and, like, Maury and all that shit. And now Ellen, I fucking hate her. She's a white lesbian who just, like, is friends with Bush and, like, has all this money but doesn't give it out, and then celebrates, like, mainly white creators, and it's just so annoying. It's so annoying. She's so fucking annoying. I hate her so much. But to be fair, she was out in the 90s, and she helped, like, shape the LGBT community, I think. But I hate her. And then, Queen Latifah, she was also out, and she was amazing. I remember watching Set It Off when I was younger, the movie we watched the other night. Anyway, I need to go. Say bye-bye to the camera!